And at what point in the process did you realize, oh, this is really significant, it's different, it's helping me? What point in the process?
I think very early on already because I've not done much like this before, so it was a very new experience, but it was very pleasantly because I think even in just the first session that we had, like I've never done anything with RTT or therapy before this, but even in the first session that we had, I feel like I uncovered a lot about myself. We were like reframing some feelings that I had in my body that I was interpreting wrong. Since that session, I listened more to these things when I feel them in my body and I can interpret them the right way. Like listening more to my body and intuition.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. I am here with Anne, and I'm so excited that she's joining us. We did our sessions last year, right?
Yes, last year.
And what was the problem that you were having with that you really wanted out of your life before we started working together?
Mainly that I was always freezing up and helpless whenever like heavy alpha males were like being either verbally aggressive or like coming on to me. And then I then just didn't know how to react to it. I just froze up entirely and I didn't like how defenseless it made me feel.
So what was the feeling state that would put you into? And I think it was work that was the most, although just interpersonally, it was getting in your way too. Yes.
Yes. Like the last encounter that actually made me seek you out was work related, but I had it, I think, interpersonally, like in private settings more before that.
And
Yeah.
how frustrating how long had it been going on? What was the feeling of frustration that you were experiencing with that?
Since I never really addressed it before coming to you, it's been going on for like as long. I mean, I was 23, I think, when I reached out to you. So kind of like up until then, I think that's when that last incident happened. I was like, okay, I actually have a problem with this because I realized whenever it would happen again, it would just put me in this like trauma state of all the previous times it has happened before. And like I kind of like relapsed into the same physical and mental state that I would have in previous incidents that were quite traumatizing. And then that it would actually make me sick because my body would go through so much stress again. Yeah.
We have an amazing ability to get sick if we're traumatized, don't we?
Yes.
What do you feel like, and just in a few sentences, what was it costing you in terms of relationship, in terms of work opportunities, in terms of peace of mind, happiness? What was the big cost attached to that?
The biggest cost definitely were like peace of mind, because I would just like over and over and over again play like in my head and be like what went wrong? Why didn't I say something? Why didn't I act? Why didn't I defend myself? And then on the other side, I think I could also very much see that, especially like my relationships with men, whether it be also like dating or maybe also past relationships that are probably has affected that also more than I could see at that moment.
Do you feel like you're in a better space now to have a healthy relationship?
Working with you definitely put me on a way better trajectory because of the sessions that we had. I could uncover patterns of what type of men I was subconsciously going for. Then, through the work with you, I could see like, oh, I'm actually like I was like actively witnessing me doing that.
Mm.
And then I deliberately like took a step back to kind of like get more conscious about the type of men that I really want to date and how I can maybe more like move towards that and get away from these like old habits that were placing me with men that are like the opposite of what I would actually like to date.
Mm.
So that's currently the process I'm in. But yeah, it was like because like we talked about these things and I covered this, I could finally, I guess, like date with like open eyes.
Yeah. Oh,
'Cause-
beautiful. Beautiful.
yeah, because before I was just kind of like subconsciously drawn to these types of men without realizing why, and without really seeing it happening. It was just kind of like autopilot.
Dating with blinders.
Yes, exactly.
True blind dating.
Yes. True, true.
And what was it about this process with me before you had done it sort of pricked up your ears and made you think, this is what I need? What did you hear? How did you find me? What was the process of going, oh, I think this is what I need?
So as you know, my life coach recommended you, and she's worked with you before, and
Love her.
she only had very good things to say, and she was like, I think this might be something that you want to try out. And because it was costing me so much, like the problem that I had, and because I was really desperate to like, you know, do something against it, I was like, yeah, I'll try it out. Sure thing. I was really open for it. And since she had such good things to say about it and I trust her a lot, I was like, let's do this. And then obviously jumping on a call with you also had a very good feeling about you as a person, and I liked the way you were like coming off. So yeah, that was kind of like the process.
Cool. And at what point in the process did you realize, oh, this is really significant, it's different, it's helping me? What point in the process?
I think very early on already, because I've not done much like this before, so it was a very new experience, but it was very pleasantly, because I think even in just the first session that we had, like I've never done anything with RTT or therapy before this, but even in the first session that we had, I feel like I uncovered a lot about myself. And then I think the second session was kind of like the point where everything, like all the gears started like moving. And I remember in the second session was especially when we were like reframing some feelings that I had in my body that I was interpreting wrong.
Mhm.
Since that session, I listened more to these things when I feel them in my body, and I can interpret them the right way. And now it's actually helping me either stay away from bad things or bad people, rather than thinking I'm feeling that because I need to like just like push it away or do it, or like listening more to my body and intuition.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's guiding you well.
Yes, like still does. Like I often have this when I need to make big decisions, especially when it's about like investing something or maybe going to travel with someone or doing this business trip. I'm like asking myself, and if it's not good for me, I feel this feeling again in the center of my body. And now I'm like, I shouldn't do this because I'm feeling this again, and most of the time it's right, and every time I haven't listened to it, it's gotten downhill again.
Oh,
Yeah, but before I thought I have that feeling because of the direct opposite. Like I didn't think it was guiding me. I thought it was some kind of fear that I had to overcome, and that's why I was getting this feeling inside my body, and that was like the opposite. So reframing that, like that alone, even though I know it wasn't like the original problem that it came for, but that already was, I think, like worth working with you, definitely.
yeah, you got your internal guidance system function.
Yes.
That's so awesome. You had
Yeah.
mentioned what it was costing you. Was it costing you mentally, emotionally, physically? What was it costing you before we started working together?
So I think originally, you know, the problem that I came to you for with the alpha males, like that was definitely costing me like peace of mind, relationships. And then some of these other things that we solved, I think, on the way, even with, for instance, like reframing the feeling, with that was costing me, like, I think the worst decisions I made because of like wrongly interpreting that were misinvestments of quite large sums of money, which obviously is painful.
Yes.
Or just spending too much time with people that were not good for me, and yeah, just again not listening enough to my body. And then I know now what patterns I had when I was dating, like, or like what I was autopiloting towards. I mean, now I kind of can tell, like, oh, this is why I was always dating like the wrong kind of guys. So that is like invaluable. And I think like that obviously before cost me my entire setup of like relationships, right? So
Beautiful.
yeah.
So, what does your life feel like now that the blinders are off and you feel like you have this internal GPS system that is reliable? What is your experience of life now?
I think as a woman also, I feel a lot more connected to my femininity, and like because I can listen more to my intuition and I feel more in tune with that. And then I think that I've been able to, you know, so often you're like, oh, I would really like to be in a relationship, and then you start being on these dating apps and like nothing works out and it costs a lot of time and it's frustrating, and then sometimes you settle for a relationship that is really shitty or something just because you want to be in a relationship. And I think this has helped me to just voluntarily really step it back and just be like, I don't want to date currently, I just want to focus on myself, and I think if it happens it will happen, kind of thing, instead of trying to like force something just because I feel like I really want this right now. So that has really subsided, and I'm really happy to just be by myself currently and like tune in with myself and work on myself, and not having to have this need or this want anymore has been very freeing.
Mm.
I also feel like I healed a good portion of some of the childhood trauma that I had, which was causing me the problem with the super like aggressive alpha males in the first place. So knowing where that comes from is great. It made me decide to pick up self-defense again, like Krav Maga, I think it's
Yeah,
called. Like,
nice. Very good.
yeah, exactly. I used to do that and then I stopped, but like since the sessions with you, I was like, I should really do this again. I think this would be great.
Very empowering. Great
Yeah.
mental practice.
Yes. And then I haven't had moments since we worked with like a super aggressive alpha male. So I don't know, maybe I'm also just like less attracting it. I don't know. But I feel like in my head the situation's like reframed.
Good. So
Yeah.
it sounds like there's a heck of a lot less stress and a lot more freedom. Did I hear
Yes.
that correctly?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And also just feeling a bit more like tuned in and like a little bit more like healed and a lot more aware and conscious. So
Beautiful.
it's not anymore this like kind of like, you know, when you're just like in your head, you constantly like, oh, why am I like this? Or why is this happening? Or like this big why of like, why is all of this a thing? So now I just feel like I'm more aware and conscious of being like, oh, it's because like this and this, or like because of that and that. So that the sessions with you gave me a lot of like answers to like the whys.
Beautiful. So if you
Yeah.
were to take a big bow and put it on there and say, transitioning from the stress, the blindness, the being attracted to the wrong situation, to the healthy GPS, the blinders off, the freedom, if you were just put a bow on that and say what that was worth to you, what would that be worth to you?
I would say it's like invaluable because it's like I don't know what else would have given me that kind of experience, especially because I mean we just had 3 sessions, right? But to think of like what I uncovered in just 3 sessions, I'm like, it's like so much value.
Mm,
And I think it was so good, I definitely would do it again.
you're so awesome.
Like, yeah, like you're really awesome. Yeah, no,
Well,
I'm really
I love people who have the courage to look inside, see something's not right, and then it's always scary to do the
it
unknown.
is. I need to say that, especially after the first session that we did, I was realizing how draining it can be for like
Mm,
body and mind. Like,
mm.
and I remember, I think it was the third session we had. I fell asleep at the end of it.
Well, sometimes the subconscious mind, it just like it wants to, turn on the TV,
Yeah,
and get drunk or whatever its distraction is. So it's like you
yeah,
really have to bring the person back to, hey, hey, hey. In fact, one of the gals that I recently interviewed, who's on my Instagram and YouTube now, she did fall asleep during the session. I had to kind of like, hey, hey,
yeah.
we kind of need to finish this up. But once
No,
it's like going to the dentist with an infected tooth,
yeah,
it's not pleasant, but it's a lot more pleasant than walking around life with a tooth that
yeah.
is infected
And
that's spreading.
yes. And it made me also feel good about myself because I was by the second session I was realizing how much courage it does take to go through something like this, to
Mhm.
do it voluntarily, and to like I mean sometimes the urge to just be like, hey, I'm sick, I can't make it. Sometimes gets big, but then it's kind of like you're like, I need to do this, and you're really showing up for yourself by doing this with you. Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. It just honestly, It makes me so happy. I do this because I love it, and I'm so passionate about it. I'm a teeny bit obsessed about it.
But I think that's good.
But it just makes me so happy to see somebody go from some level of imprisonment, mental, emotional, physical. And I mean, it does affect all three levels really profoundly.
Yeah.
I mean, really profoundly. And then just sort of notice what shifts and changes as you just plug into principles of how the brain works and how to optimize that, getting away from old false things that hurt us and reframing them, looking them in a truer way. So it's just
Yeah.
basically coming to the present moment, coming to reality.
No, but yeah, kind of like that. And I feel like, I mean, obviously I've never done conventional therapy, but I feel like there you'd probably spend 3 sessions alone just talking about like generic things and not really getting to the juicy bits that you actually need some uncovering to do about. Yeah. And then I also did love it's like resources on the side that you were like sending things. I really appreciated that.
I
Yeah.
love doing that for people too. Once I get to know somebody and their challenges, I just have a whole treasure chest of stuff I can throw at them. And, I want to load somebody up with as much homework as they want.
Yeah.
It is important to start listening to people that are, teaching truth, teaching optimism, teaching positivity, because if you just spend all your time with garbage,
Yes.
your brain starts to think garbage.
Yeah. I'm doing a 10-day silent meditation and yoga retreat in a month, I think actually. So
Is that
that,
Vipassana or another one?
yeah, exactly that. So yeah, it kind of like, I think also from the sessions that I had with you, since we talked so much also about like meditation and stuff, it was inspiring me to go further and do something more in that
Super
direction.
powerful. So
Yeah.
proud of you. Well,
Yeah.
I can't wait to continue this process. I am actually packaging up some other ways that we can work together on a more consistent basis. So if that's appealing, I'd love to connect with you on that, and
Yeah, let me
I'll
know.
reach out on those things. Thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else that you would like our audience to know about you, this process, anything?
Um, I think there are a lot of ways one can like invest in themselves and like spend money on. And I think any person has some kind of like blockages, trauma, phobias, fears, whatever holds them back. And I think anyone could use something like this for one of their problems. There are sometimes like I'm with people and I will see some patterns in them or things that hold them back, and I'm thinking about you should do RTT.
Yeah, no, we all have layers of things that need
Yeah.
peeling away for sure.
Yeah, I think it was one of the best investments that I made in myself throughout the last year, actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm the same way. I Benjamin Franklin said, invest in yourself because then nobody can take it away from you. And
That's a good
I
one.
mean, this is the house that you live in for your entire life.
Yes.
So why wouldn't you invest in it? It's the one thing you're gonna have
Yes.
your entire life.
Yes. And I also like that it kind of like, I mean, it was like a process throughout like 3 months, right? But it kind of like followed you in a not too tightly, like gave you room to like breathe and like readjust and like really implement and think about what happened in that last session, but that it stuck with you for like it was kind of like a mini journey. I thought
Beautiful.
that was really nice. Yeah.
It is a journey. It's a journey
Yeah.
back to the truth, back to yourself, back to your authenticness. It's
Yeah.
peeling away layers that just they're old. They don't serve you.
Yes.
They're invisible. They're unexpected. This process wasn't what you expected, was it?
No, 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 not at all. I thought I came there for one thing, but then so many other things were like coming up, like, and I think that's where the real value was in at the end of the day, also that it touched so many more things and points that I didn't even look for or anticipated to like come up and be there. And yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. Because scientists now know that only about 5 to 10% of our brain is conscious and the other is subconscious. So when the answers really do come up, they're coming from the subconscious, they're
Yes.
coming from that area that has been that murky, weird, dreamy place. And then once you can see, oh, that's what's going on there, then you start to have tools to change it and reframe it. But otherwise, we're just on autopilot, firing and wiring the same neural pathways that we've been firing and wiring for the last couple decades.
And that's exactly how it felt for me before I came to you. Just firing the same disc like every single time it would happen. Yeah.
Stuck and unconscious.
Yes, exactly.
You're so brilliant. I'm so happy to have met you. It's a joy to see you blossom and shine, and can't wait to see what and where you go next.
I can't thank you enough.
I'm so grateful to you, Anne. Mwah. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.